The EV market is taking over. Years ago, only a few people really cared about the era and how it could drastically change the entire industry and society. But today, the electric car market is booming, and the rapid interest has never been more apparent. However, there are a couple of hard facts that no one appears to be talking about, notably the owners of one, and if they do, they are more than likely to turn a blind eye to the bone of contention. What are these hard pills to swallow? In this video, we'll walk you through every detail you need to know about your electric car in the long term. And if you stay around until the end, we'll reveal to you everything about the reality of used EV cars and what you should pay attention to when buying one. Have you ever wondered how the batteries of an electric car work? You see, the materials that companies use to craft an electric car battery mainly comprise lithium, just like phone batteries. Under normal conditions, lithium is one of the lightest solid elements and metals, and the main producers are Chile, Argentina, and China, with Bolivia having the world's largest known resource. There have been numerous claims and concerns that there will soon be a crippling struggle to produce a large number of electric cars in Europe due to a lack of access to the element lithium to make batteries, which, of course, every electric car requires, as well as a lack of factories to produce them in. Speaking of batteries, they can and will diminish over time. Have you ever noticed how your cell phone reduces in capacity over time? The same applies here. The truth about charging cycles is that it is a process of juicing up fully and then using it until it discharges to zero. When you pass a given threshold of charge cycles, the lithium battery's maximum charge capacity will decrease. Most EV batteries are estimated to be between 1,500 to 2,000 charge cycles. Yes, EV manufacturers try to make their batteries last longer by putting in measures like energy management systems to prevent complete charging and discharging. But there are also a lot of things you should know. Did you know rapid charging can reduce your battery's performance? The charging method generates a lot of high heat, which tends to increase the chemical reactions in the battery, which in turn can accelerate the degradation. It's also pivotal to note that replacing your electric vehicle's battery can be crazily expensive. Buying a new EV battery can fetch you a substantial amount of money. For example, a new Nissan Leaf battery costs over $5,000, and that's far from the asking price for a new Chevy Bolt battery, which can be seen for around $16,000. There is a silver lining, though. Fortunately, a lot of EV batteries are under manufacturer warranties for some years or a distance of 100,000 miles. Have you ever heard the notion of electric vehicles being more eco-friendly than gas-powered cars? Of course you have. It's like an anthem at this point. While that is undeniably true beyond every doubt, there is still a bit of a gray area there. Here is why. To get a proper mental picture of how much greenhouse gas is emitted while making an electric vehicle, we must consider just how the components used in crafting the EVs are sourced and made. Those vital raw materials needed to make the car have to be mined. And as we can probably guess already, the entire process generates a lot of greenhouse gas, which simply puts us any gas such as carbon dioxide or CX that can contribute to the warming of our planet when released to the atmosphere. That's not all, though. After mining, those raw materials then need to be refined again before they can be functional. Again, that causes a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. Did you know that even after all that, during the process of manufacturing the car, more greenhouse gas is emitted as well? Interested in finding out how it matches up to manufacturing gas-powered cars? It is estimated that the whole production process of making a gas-powered car would cause a release of about 7 to 10 tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. But as for electric cars, things start to get more tricky, especially when you take into consideration that you'd have to obviously make a battery in order to power the car. Authorities suggest that 150 kilograms of carbon dioxide is released for every 1 kilowatt-hours of battery capacity. For an EV to have a decent range of, say, 300 miles between charges, it would need a battery capacity of at least 60 kilowatt-hours, which only means that a further 9 tons of carbon dioxide will be emitted during production. With all that being said, there would be a total emission of around 16 to 19 tons of carbon dioxide. However, again, there is a silver lining in the long run. The average medium-sized family car creates around 24 tons of carbon dioxide during its entire life cycle. But for electric cars, there's a significant reduction. EVs produce just around 18 tons in their life cycle over the years. Alas, would you consider that to be a win? Personally, we'd say so. Did you know that it is more than likely that a couple of EVs you can find on the road right now have some defects? The electric vehicle market, as we all know, is relatively new, and expectedly, manufacturers are still working out the kinks in assembly and design, and surely defects are somewhat going to be common at the moment. If you go through some forums or even ask around, you'd hear tales of owners experiencing display issues, failing temperature sensors, and concerns with their exterior door lights. But again, there is a silver lining. Did you know that there is a law called the Song-Beverly Consumer Warranty Act, also called the Lemon Law, that helps to protect EV owners if they detect their car being defective? If you find out your EV is defective, you are legally entitled to some options. But before we get into that, it's pivotal to note that you must prove it is a lemon according to the required state guidelines. Also, you must have made a prior substantial amount of attempts to repair the given vehicle before filing a legal claim. So, what legal options are you entitled to if you can successfully pass the requirements? You can ask the manufacturer to legally repurchase your car from you, including the taxes and registration fees. What if the car was bought via loan? It's easy. In such situations, the manufacturer would refund the payments and down payments you spent and pay off the loan. If you don't want that approach, you can also legally ask your EV to collect the defective car from you and then replace it with a similar model. The manufacturer would also be obligated to pay the taxes and registration for the new EV. But of course, you wouldn't get a refund of the fees you paid for the defect. As we all know, EVs can be quite expensive, which is one reason why many people flock to the used market. But there are a couple of things that you really need to know before buying one. For starters, a lot of good bargains are out there, but with a drawback. You may or may not know this, but older EVs such as the Chevrolet Spark, the original Nissan Leaf, and the Kia Soul EV can be quite cheap on the used market. But here's why their prices are on the crazy low side. The EPA range of those first-generation EVs was typically around or between 75 to 115 miles. And taking into consideration the fact that they are older and used, the possibility of the real-world range is more than likely going to be depreciated due to battery degradation. In addition, decreased battery performance is unavoidable. An older phone wouldn't be able to last as long as it did when it was initially purchased, and the same applies to electric vehicles as well. A useful rule of thumb provided by the vehicle data company, Geotab, is that an electric car's battery will degrade by approximately 2.3% every year, and that could be for various reasons. Driving in high temperatures, Overcharging and constantly draining the battery to a low voltage would definitely take its toll. In summary, before buying a used EV, make sure to check for the battery's capacity, how much battery warranty is left, and the maintenance history of the EV itself. Here's a bonus recommendation. This may or may not be relevant to you, but it's worth noting that the government offers certain incentives to encourage more individuals to look into the EV market. But a lot of those incentives, including the $7,500 federal tax credit of the USA, only apply to new electric cars. If you like this video, move on to the next one on your screen. Like, leave a comment, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss our other videos. See you there.